This is Meet the Movie Press. It is December the 14th, 2018, the penultimate show of the year. Coming up, SAG nominations, The Doctor Strange is in, and no Oscars host, plus the week's big releases and the box office. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
This is Meet the Movie Press. I'm not sure if we said that enough times. It is December the 14th, 2018, the penultimate show of the year. Guys, how the fuck do we get here?
I don't know. I don't know. And I love Ultimate Pens.
Literally, wasn't it? Weren't we just talking about the summer?
We were.
I mean,
it's crazy.
Have I been in a coma? I was like, it's like the holidays.
I know.
It feels like Jurassic World came out like 3 weeks ago.
It did. I remember the three of us talking about Jurassic World.
Just crazy.
I remember going to it with you.
Okay, we have quite a lot to talk about this week, so let's get started. My name is Simon Thompson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ShowbizSimon. And also there is a Facebook page. This is Simon Thompson. Demetri, Panos, welcome back.
Hey there. It's great to be back.
Who are you, for those that don't know? Where can we find you?
At DMovies1701. I'm looking to try to rebrand that, actually, so that I can use my name. I could use your help on that.
Okay.
And also you can
D-Man!
D-Biz.
D-Biz. D-Man, D-Biz. Okay. And also on Popcorn Talks, Anatomy of a Movie.
Yes.
Although I'll be absent this week because time was stretched very short and I was unable to see the movies that they're doing, but I'll promote them anyways. They're doing Ben is Back.
Mm-hmm.
And
sequel to Ben?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do I have to see Ben before I see Ben is Back?
You should.
Okay, cool.
From what I understand.
Lovely. Great movie, by the way.
And then Mary, Queen of Scots.
Fantastic.
As opposed of the Queen Mary. Of
great.
Long Beach.
Scott, who are you and where can we find you?
Hi, Scott Menzel. You can find me over at We Live Entertainment.
Yep.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TheOtherScottM.
Are you literally quoted on every single movie now? Has that become law? Passed by the House and Senate? I do see your name a lot. A lot.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, that's not a bad thing.
No. I don't know what happened this year. This year I kind of exploded all over Hollywood. Take that as you would.
Well,
Go.
you know, people ask how you get ahead in the industry, and there's one way.
You got ahead.
Okay, so let's talk about the SAG nominations came out this week, and also People's Choice nominations. Let's concentrate on the SAG noms.
Critics' Choice.
Critics' Choice. Yeah, Critics' Choice was this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, not People's Choice.
It's been a really fucking busy week.
It's okay.
Okay, yeah, SAG nominations this week. A couple of movies. I mean, it was a refreshing selection.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, rather than a lot of the movies that I think people are thinking that they should actually talk about or nominate. A couple of other ones coming in there, but I was very surprised to see a couple of movies that I thought people within SAG-AFTRA would nominate that didn't get a showing. What was your thought when the list was announced this week?
You know, it's part of it was what I've been feeling a lot this year about movies, which is I think there's going to be, I think we'll also notice at the Academy Awards as well. I think people are going to movies that make them feel good. It doesn't have to just be the Academy movie, which is deep and thoughtful. Nothing wrong with those movies, mind you. Yeah. But I think this year has been the we're back to movies being escapism. Mm-hmm. So I was pleasantly surprised by that, and even the Critics' Choice Awards. Some of the nominees, I was like going, wow, well, good for them. Like I think it's good for the business, but I think it also reflects where we're at from society, and that movies can be escapism. They don't have to always be heavy and depressing and down. So, I like the Green Book, Bohemian Rhapsody.
And they don't have to be art with a capital A. It can be artistic.
I like that.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's really important.
Which movies like A Star is Born and Bohemian Rhapsody fit that description.
I think sometimes, certainly around awards season, there's a lot of people in the industry who suddenly get a stick up their ass.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's like, well, you put on a tux, so you've got to go, well, like, pass the Grey Poupon. And, really, cinema is one of the most accessible arts that people can have, whether it's an animated movie for kids that can be absolute genius. Let's look at Spider-Man this week. That's an animated movie with a large kids audience. Adults are going to lap that up, right through to things like, I don't know, Green Book, Roma, lots of different things. Really, really interesting mix. Scott, your thoughts on this?
You know, it's interesting.
It is.
This whole entire award season, I felt has just been one copy and paste.
Really?
It's been that way for a couple of years, I felt, though.
But this year, I was talking to one of our fans of the show, Ricky, and we were going back and forth through PM on Twitter, and we were saying that it's very politically driven this year with a lot of the categories and a lot of the films, and you just kind of see them repeating over and over and over again. There's not that many surprises. I mean, I think everyone was going crazy about the SAG. The one thing that everyone was going crazy about was Bohemian Rhapsody getting the best cast. You know, kind of nomination. And that was like the only real buzz that kind of came out of that. And the fact that Beale Street was overlooked. Heaven forbid someone forgets Beale Street. You know, it's very interesting to me, but like there's this wife push, the movie The Wife with Glenn Close, which I feel like no one has seen. Right. You know, it's amazing how this is just popping up on every list.
That's a strong movie, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a very strong movie,
But it's weird because you remember... Going into award season, the big buzz out of the gate was The Old Man and the Gun, with Robert Redford. Oh, might be his last performance, blah, blah, blah. And zero love for this movie, not even like a pop-up pretty much anywhere. And I'm looking at other movies like, you know, like Hate You Give that have not gotten that much love. Ben Is Back has gotten zero love. Julia Roberts is like the best performance she's given in like 5 to 10 years. Yeah. And she's not nominated in any categories.
Great.
It seems to be going, there's like 1 or 2 obscure films. But for the most part, it's very, very mainstream this year. It's like Mary Poppins, like really? Like I can tell you like 5 other people who deserve that nomination more than Emily Blunt, Mary Poppins. And I love Emily Blunt, but Jesus, like
well, I mean,
for that movie.
A Quiet Place. I loved A Quiet Place this year, and I'm seeing nominations for that movie.
Right.
And while I think that movie does deserve recognition in certain areas, it isn't John and it isn't Emily. I mean, they did great jobs in the movie.
Sure.
But I didn't watch A Quiet Place and think that is because of their performances an award-winning movie. I'll tell you what, the little girl in it, whose name I've forgotten.
Millicent Simmons.
Millicent Simmons.
Oh,
if
amazing.
Anybody deserves an award from an acting point of view, it's her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, phenomenal.
Yes.
You know, she was one of my favorite parts of that movie.
Agreed.
Outstanding, and I'm genuinely excited to see what happens with her career in the future. I hope Hollywood doesn't go, well, we don't know what to do now with her, because she's clearly a real talent. If you can create that kind of atmosphere and that kind of performance on screen when you don't talk and you're deaf, I mean, that is mad skills. That's like, it's incredible. And she stole that movie for me, away from the main cast, the adults, and away from the special effects.
You know, she was also in a film called Wonderstruck, which no one saw.
No, I know.
And she was
out about
incredible in that movie, too. And
that's on Amazon Prime at the moment, right?
Yeah, it is. And I just, you know, I see her in that film. I see her in Wonderstruck, and I just think to myself, like, this is a talent. This is someone who I want to see in at least 1 or 2 movies every single year.
Yeah. One thing I mean, obviously, A Star Is Born I really love this year. It's great to see that getting a number of recognition.
But it hasn't won anything so far.
But it hasn't won anything, no. And I think that could be, I mean, I think it'll do well. I think it'll scoop up a really nice couple of wins and some major prizes. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out. And there are a couple of other movies that are getting quite a few nominees. The Favourite is getting a lot of attention as well, which is great. That's on my to-do list this weekend. One movie I'm particularly pleased to see in here is Black Klansman.
Yes.
Which is a movie that did well at the box office. It didn't do amazingly. And even though it comes from a socio-political place, it's not actually that political. It has a juxta to today, but it's very much about a fascinating story of time and history that a lot of people still don't realize is actually, it's a true story.
Yeah.
And I think that gave me so much creative satisfaction this year. It had flaws, but overall really left me feeling, there's probably about 5 movies this year that have left me when I leave a theater and I'm just going like, I felt that. I really felt that. And these are movies where sometimes I agree with politically, and sometimes I don't agree with politically.
Sure.
There was a documentary this year, Dark Money, which again nobody saw, but I think it's available on PBS and a couple of other platforms. And that was very much not my political bent, but I found it absolutely fascinating, and I really enjoyed it, and I felt more clued in as a result of watching it. Black Klansman, good to see that getting some love. It's out on home entertainment now, by the way, if you haven't seen it.
It is.
You really should check it out.
I also have it
People
on
need to see
Blu-ray.
this.
But where Black Klansman, for me, checked the boxes is that it was actually entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't feel like I was taking medicine watching Black Klansman. And the performances were so engaging. And there was some dark comedy. There was obviously satire. There was a message at the end, but I never felt that the movie, prior to the end, was beating me over the head.
It wasn't preachy.
No, and to me too, Adam Driver. I remember saying Adam Driver's performance in this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who, his career said he's Kylo Ren for the rest of his life, right? He can continue to collect those paychecks, but he can act. I talked about him in the Soderbergh movie.
Yeah.
Lucky Logan.
Yeah,
Lucky
Logan.
Logan.
Yeah, Logan. Yeah, Lucky Logan or Logan Lucky.
Whatever
He
the
was
hell it is.
great in that movie.
Yeah.
And then again, he comes in this movie, knocks it out of the park with everybody else, and I was like, wow. I walked out going, what a really good movie.
Yeah.
What a solid flick. And it came out. When was that? June? July? August. Okay.
Yeah, first or second week of August.
Yeah, and I have
Brave to release that in
great.
summer, even at
Yes.
the end of summer.
Yeah.
Really brave.
I mean, I gotta say something about this too. I agree with both of you guys. I think Black Klansman is so powerful. It's one of the few films that I've seen. I think I watched this movie either 3 or 4 times, and it holds up every single time.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a great cast.
Yeah.
And it's a great story, and it's something that, everything that's based on a true story, of course, some of the facts are not 100% accurate, which I know there was a little bit of backlash this year for it. But, for the most part, a lot what went on in that movie is very true to life.
Yeah.
And I think the way that Spike ends this film kind of ties it together, and I love this. Without spoiling it, there's just a scene at the end where they stand in a hallway, and it goes really
that
quick.
typical Spike Lee
and it
on
goes
a
fast
dolly.
forward,
Yeah.
fast forward to the window, and then something happens. And I mean, it goes to say, you thought it was behind us, wake up. It's not.
Yeah.
And
And
I
I think-
just thought it was the slap in the face we all needed.
And I think it's one of his best films.
Oh, I do
It's
too.
like
the best Spike Lee movie for a long, long time. And I'm a fan of
Oh,
even
yeah.
some of his lesser works. But this was a really solid movie. So I'm really pleased that people in Hollywood have a very short memory. We move on very quickly from movies. So we don't tend to see a lot of the movies that came out, 6 months, 12 months ago, which at the time we were pissing our pants over and going like, oh my God, have you seen the movie? It's amazing.
Right.
Everybody forgets
Yeah.
by the time we get to this time of year. I'm really glad that people haven't forgotten about Black Klansman.
too.
I know people in the industry who are still talking about that as a movie that accomplished a number of things this year, but again, wasn't out there shouting.
It's also interesting, I think about this more and more each year, is that the movie that wins Best Picture,
Yeah.
all these award seasons, how ultimately forgettable they become.
Yeah.
Like, I know this is like the easy one to throw out there, but like The Artist, where like, not a single person mentions it. I mean,
But I want to pick up on this in a
Yeah,
second because
okay.
a thought suddenly occurred to me. Everybody's talking about Roma. A lot of people are talking about Roma.
Yeah.
Roma's the movie to see, and I haven't seen it yet. I'm planning to watch it, but it suddenly occurred to me this week that Roma is the movie that everybody is talking about in the industry on the run up to the awards. 24 hours after the awards, 97% of those people shall never talk of Roma on a regular basis ever again.
you're right.
And I do think there is one movie every year that I think someone decides, or a group of people decide, that is the one we're going to talk about. And I think it is, regardless of how good the movie is, and even regardless of how many people have seen it, I don't know why we do it. It's the
I don't know
poster
either.
child for the awards season, and it happened with La La Land a couple of years ago, and also Moonlight that year, which Moonlight was very, very good. But yeah, we every single year, and then literally 24 hours are gone, and nobody talks about it again. The Artist I loved, and I still watch it, but who the fuck mentioned The Artist?
No, it's a great example.
And that was a groundbreaking movie in many ways.
They don't think today of things that would perpetuate the business, or what would be good for the business. Like you quoted it great. It's like artist with a capital A, like, but you can be artistic, right, and still with a commercial viability and select some movies that are actually like a Black Klansman, or even, listen, I've got no qualms because Black Panther has been also getting a lot of love. I don't have any qualms about that, because there's a populism that needs to inject into the Academy to get people to pay attention to movies. And if it's going to be, listen, Black Panther is a solid, entertaining film. There's no reason why it cannot be nominated for things and even potentially win awards. And to your point, people wouldn't forget Black Panther.
No, they wouldn't. I'm glad you were saying that, because that's exactly what I was going to say.
It's almost like we're like on an elongated one night stand with a movie, and then we get to prom, and then the photos are taken, and then it's like, I don't want to see you anymore. And there are movies that I've loved for like 30, 40 years, and I still champion to this day. And there are some amazing movies that pretty much no one saw this year that I absolutely believe, when it comes to the art of cinema, believe to be getting some recognition this year. You know, in major awards ceremonies, and they're just not getting that. And I just kind of...
Oh, I mean, there's a movie called Boy Erased.
Boy
Erased is like completely overlooked. No, besides the one Golden Globe nomination for him, for Lucas Hedges, like, no talk about this movie at all.
But there was a ramp up to that coming out. Then was going, do the movie. And I'm like, okay, so this is where you push for awards. Shiny thing. And I'm like, come on, guys.
And
speaking of which, Mary Queen of Scots, if I see one more freaking TV commercial for that damn movie, like, no one could, like, knock them for not advertising that movie. But, like, no, again, that's not in the conversation at all.
No, and I want to go back to Roma for one thing. I get on my soapbox. No, but here's the thing, too. Again, we should be protecting this business, right?
Yes.
And collectively. The one thing about Roma, and this isn't about artistic or anything, right? Go ahead. Find me box office on Roma. Go ahead. I mean, like,
I know where this is going.
You're not going to find it, because find it in the theater. You can't. You mentioned it before that a lot of these small people, look, I'll watch it on Netflix. But like a movie that you can't even like get recorded numbers like on, that's a problem. That's not supporting our business. So when you
the Christmas Chronicles got $200 million at the box
office. $200 million!
Wait, that was released in the theater?
Yeah.
The Christmas
Didn't you see it?
Yeah.
I did, but on Netflix.
And it was screened in the movie theaters, because one of the guys working on concessions was screening it on his phone while he was working at the movie theater. So there you go.
And that's another reason I don't have any issue with The Star Is Born, because... It was gripping. That first hour was amazing cinema. The performances were fantastic. Movies like that need to, like, they will help fuel our business going forward.
Some talk in the chat. Glamoury saying Crazy Rich Asians got a nom. It did. That, which I think was well deserved for an ensemble piece. Glamoury Marwin isn't getting the anticipated love it deserves. We'll get to that next week. Vice, also Glamoury again. Vice is barely getting through. I think it's going to get some noms. I don't think it's going to be quite the landslide that some people might have predicted it was, in the same way that last year the Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks movie,
The Post,
was expected to get like landslide nominations and didn't. Still love that movie there.
Same here.
And yes, so Vice, and having watched it this week, I have to say, I mean, there's some great performances in it. It didn't blow me away. I know a lot of people are loving this movie, but it really didn't blow me away.
Christian Bale definitely should get
Christian Bale is great. Sam Rockwell is great. Amy Adams is great. We'll do a review
Steve
next
Carell.
week. Steve Carell. Yeah, but Steve Carell is Brick Goes to Washington. he's Brick from Anchorman, and I was like, I mean, I
He's
get.
had a rough year.
He has had a rough. He has had a rough year,
very
but also
rough year for me.
I think
As
what
someone
Adam has
who's a
done with him
fanboy.
is just basically go, "Can you do
Yeah.
brick but serious?" I mean, I loved his performance. I thought he was great in it as well. Those are my 4 favorites in there. But as a movie, it doesn't quite work for me in the way that The Big Short did. Yeah. So Xeno Hour, what? No love for 50 Shades Freed? Lol.
Yeah.
No, but I'm sure that'll feature quite well at the Porno Awards. Kit Bowen. Hello, Kit. Thank you. I think Vice will be a last-minute contender for Oscars. I think it'll get some nominations. Amy Adams certainly deserves a nomination for her work in that movie. Glamoury Destroyer Ben is back. Boy, a beautiful boy. High expectations, low momentum. Yeah, absolutely. Beale Street getting in, but only by the critics, really. Yeah, I think so. I just think that's not a movie that audiences, general audiences, outside the bubbles have really sort of engaged with. This rate, Black Panther will be Best Picture at Academy Awards from Glamoury. I don't know. And will win, says Glamoury. Ricky, who we mentioned earlier in the show, Boy Erased should be nominated for so much more. It was thrown in an overstuffed few weeks. Absolutely, I 100% agree. On my way to see Marwin tonight with Zemeckis and Carell for a Q&A. Don't think it'll be great, but was really hoping it'll be a contender for the Oscars this year, even though it definitely won't. And Ricky, we will talk about that on the show next week. But yeah, so... Yeah. Oh, and Ricky says, I want to see Brick Goes to Washington, greatest short film ever.
Yes.
Me too. Me too.
It would have been better than the Anchorman sequel.
Yeah, that's true.
Which was not very
Although,
good.
if you can check it out, there was, after Anchorman, they did like a second movie, which is actually a better sequel to Anchorman than Anchorman 2. So if you can find that, check it out. It's probably on a
It was a
DVD.
Blockbuster exclusive at one point.
It was. You could buy it in HMV in the UK, and I still have it at home, but I'm sure you can like pick it up on, secondary sale sites like eBay and stuff like that. You can probably find that. Okay, yeah. So I mean, the awards this week. Great. I mean, it was nice to see some fresh suggestions in there, and I didn't feel it was like, oh, these are the movies. This is some lists that we have all decided. We will all give our support to, and we will not watch the screeners, and we will just nine. You cannot nominate this. So, I mean, it does feel a little bit like that at times. It does. No, it does.
I liked it.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We have chosen the films you will vote for. We will send you all the screeners, but you don't have to watch them.
Yes.
So it don't matter. They make nice coasters. Give them as gifts. Okay, so this
Feel
week...
free to replicate.
and then get arrested.
Yeah. Do not put them on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'll tell you what, one I have to say, on the screeners thing, and I tweeted about this week, while I absolutely support giving screeners, and I wish they would give them out throughout the year, it would make life so much easier, especially with people who, I don't know, don't have this as a hobby. It's a job, and we have to work during the day. We can't see a movie at 10 on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
It was the only screening. But aside from that, there is they need to go through the lists of who is getting these screeners. There needs to be a reset. The amount of people I am seeing within the industry on social media and stuff like that who are getting sent screeners through either for whatever, a membership of something, but aren't working journalists, are perhaps hobbyists or don't even work in the industry anymore. People who are getting them by accident. The industry and the industry bodies need to do a reset on exactly who gets these screeners. It's a lovely bragging right. But for instance, me, I'm going to be working on the major award ceremonies. I want to see as many of the films that I can. Can I, not as the member of a guild or anything, get access to these screeners? I cannot. However, there are people that are going nowhere near a red carpet, and some aren't even currently working in the industry, who get screeners. Yeah. Needs to be a reset. I think every 2 years, I think, is enough.
Yep.
Because I think sometimes people lose their jobs, they get a new job, they relocate, they do whatever. Every 2 years, and I think they need to start in 2019, the industry needs to do a bit of cleaning house, work out where these screeners are going, and exactly what they're doing, and re-look at who is,
Simon, I've been saying this for like the past 5 years, but mine is even more radical. You said, but you said it right. It's a prestige thing.
Yes.
Screeners are a prestige and bragging rights thing.
Dick waving contest.
It is. And to me, for these people who are in the industry, again, you want to support the business, I say you wipe them out completely. These people get into the movies for free. I'm not talking about press. I'm talking about these people who are in the guilds. ANC, Landmark, within a certain amount, like it's usually pretty much the month of December, and I think even starting in November. Like if you show your guild card, you get in to see the movies for free.
Well,
so like if you're not like that's your job, but there's so many people who there's a lot of old, some older people who aren't working. They're getting them, and like they're continuing to vote.
But if you're still a member of like the Writers Guild or you're a legacy member of the PGA or the Academy, absolutely, I can understand that. But I'm talking about people. I mean, the amount of times in the last couple of weeks, and I've had to go and I've had to cover a red carpet or something. And I find it, as a journalist and as a TV producer, exceedingly disrespectful to stand in front of major directors, major talent, or even independent directors and independent talent. And when they say, oh, you're blah, 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 have you seen the movie? You have to say no, and you ask why. And I now tell them it's because the publicists haven't enabled me to see the movie. And I think it's really fucking rude to put your talent on a red carpet and in the position where people who actually are doing the job professionally cannot get to see the movies. And I know there's still a lot of weight put on reviews, and reviews I think they still have value. But I just think it just needs a reset, and especially around awards season. I'm spending my entire weekend catching up on awards movies that I'm either paying to see or having access to that I need to see for work.
Right.
That I cannot get in any other way.
Yes.
I just think the industry needs a reset. And at the moment, if you want to combat piracy, and you want to get people within the industry voting on this, and you really want to add credibility and kudos to what people are voting for, you give it to people who are gonna watch the movies, who either vote or not vote, but at least are in a more informed position to promote your stuff effectively. Not kiss ass.
Yeah.
Not do it for a quote on a poster. And we've all had our names on posters, so I'm not saying, never had it. But I just think the industry needs a really serious reset on exactly what is happening.
I agree.
So soapbox moment there. I just think it's really fucking important.
No, I'm glad you brought this up. So I want to talk about this because obviously everyone knows at this point that I am the founder of the Los Angeles Online Film Critics Society.
Right.
And one of the
yeah,
exactly. Okay. And the thing that's very interesting about this, talking to a lot of people who have been in guilds and have been part of like the Online Film Critics Society and all these other freaking groups, is that once you're in, you're in. Yeah. And there's this really problematic spin that I'm starting to realize, even with my small group, that there's certain people who don't actively participate. And it's interesting because we're only 2 years old. Yeah. And I'm already seeing this. So what I've decided to do for next year is I started writing up roles. And like, I know it may seem like it's a job title or to be a part of this, but it's not just a privilege. It's not. It's you have to contribute.
Dude, if you work in Ralph's, or you work in Trader Joe's, or you work at In-N-Out, when you do a job, it's written down what you do, what the requirements are that you are being paid to do. And it's not unreasonable.
And so therefore, what I'm doing is I'm creating a guideline of like, you must review or contribute 50 times a year to film criticism or the film world. Yeah. You must participate in annual award ceremony. You must contribute to Daily Pick of the Week. You must show up on the show. Just, it's stuff that it's not a profit business. Like, it's literally, it's all hard work of like emailing and harassing people. Cause like you said, I can tell you, I go through this stuff all the freaking time. Even as someone who like founded a freaking critics group, it is like a never ending battle.
A really good example of this for me, and I'm seeing it next week, Aquaman. I've had to chase screenings for that. But I had to justify why I wanted to see Aquaman. Now I'm a producer at E. I'm a producer at Reuters. I write for Forbes. Those are just three. Yeah. Those are just three outlets. And the question was like, what coverage are you going to give us? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of an old school journalist. I like to see a movie before I decide what editorial I'm going to do on it. I have a couple of ideas, but I want to solidify that. Can I have access to this talent? No, you can't. We've already done the junket. Okay, great. We have this final screening next week. And I'm like, great. It's literally been screened for members of the public.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm seeing it 2 days, and I'm very grateful for the invite, but it's 2 days before the general public is seeing it, which limits, for me, the amount of editorial, because I'm busy. I'm a working journalist and a working producer. So it limits the time that I have to actually do anything on the movie. And you've been showing it to Bobby Joe in Idaho. And great, he's going to tell all his friends to go and see Aquaman. But I'm just like, what? It should not be a struggle. It shouldn't be the case where that, and then it's like, oh, we haven't got any more screenings left. And I'm like, I have a friend of mine, but I don't mean disrespect to a friend of mine, who is living in the house of someone who is a member of a guild. This person used to live there. It's a rented property. They moved out. But the discs are still going to this guy at this house. So now, for the last 3 years, this guy has basically some haven't even reached the movie theaters.
I know.
Right.
And he has all going to a member of the public who does not work in the industry. And I'm like, if you want to combat piracy and, don't share them around, don't send them to members of the public. Do an audit every year, check who's getting the discs. Just make... the industry isn't helping itself by not reviewing this procedure. Last year, the industry had a massive bit of house cleaning when it came to things like abuse, being safe in the workplace, representation, treating people respectfully, fair working conditions. And yet there are some areas that are constantly overlooked.
Right.
And I think this is one of the areas that the industry really has to look at for 2019.
And
I
correct me
really
if
think
I'm
they
wrong
do.
About that person you were just talking to, the other kick in the head is too, he lives in rent control.
No. But no, I mean, it's kind of, but it's like the industry by one hand is being ridiculously strict, and then by the other hand is being unbelievably fluid.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a massive inconsistency here. So it is very, as a professional, and I know you guys have had this as well, it is very frustrating to have to work with that, to just try and do your job as a professional, a paid professional for major outlets. I want to present your product in the most effective way. You should make that easier for me, not harder.
My favorite story from you is when you say, the publicist comes up to you and go, just limit your questions about the movie. Well, I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, that was at a premiere. And I'm like, that'd be great, but I asked to see it and you didn't show it to me.
Right.
So why don't you invite me to these things?
The other problem with this is, and let's just be blunt about this, is that in the industry, we've come so freaking far that half the time when you go to a junket and people are being interviewed, they're not even asked freaking questions about the movie they watched. It's literally, how many, what's your favorite Disney song? Or like something so stupid like,
what are you wearing today?
Yeah, it's just everything has become a game, and all this popular media has just, they're like, what would sell? What would sell? What would sell? And it's just taken the seriousness out of journalism, and it just turned it into a joke. Yeah. And I love when people are so high on their freaking horse that they're doing some groundbreaking, life-saving work in journalism when they go in there and they ask someone about their shoes or, their favorite Disney song. I just love it.
I'm not going to go on a complete rant about this. I think I've been on enough of a soapbox, but I do sometimes when I'm on a red carpet and I'm there with, with one of my, numerous outlets that are not like tin pot, things.
Yeah, sure.
And you see like HollywoodShoes.com.
Yes. yeah. I know.
Okay. I don't know what to do with that. That's not even a thing. I would really love to see the industry stop. I've got to get directors on this.
It's the same with
just stop giving access to people who it's just a hobby.
No. You talk that thing you said about like the screenings. I feel you too for that. It's like there's certain studios for me too where like they'll sit there and they'll send me. They're like, we have one 2 days before it comes out. Great, and then I'm gonna guess you want me to review this too, even though it won't do shit because unless you're one of the first outlets out of the gate. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry if I'm ruining film journalism or criticism for you right now, but I mean, you know how it is. Social media has taken over. If you're not one of the first people to tweet about a movie the second the embargo lifts, no one really cares. I'm sorry to say it.
Well, I mean, I like to believe that people sometimes will care.
If they follow you, that's your following will care. But anyone of following, like trying to develop a new following or new voices, probably slim to none.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, look, I'm in a different position from you folks. I mean, I'm honored if you're inviting me to go to see a movie early. And the screening process has just been, we've joked about it when the three of us have gone, where we go, there's a whole row of particular people.
Yes.
And we're like, a row?
Who aren't doing editorial on something.
Right.
Or
That's
a review
even
or
better.
something.
That's
and I'm
even
like,
better. Yeah.
the fuck?
Yep.
You know, that's why the three of us need to be able to go as a force.
Right.
And this is not like a whiny pity party. This is
us.
just the industry needs to do a little bit of auditing because I mean I'll get a really good example and then we'll move on from this. I'll do some people. A lot of people are chatting about this. Everybody wants a Vice screener, which is funny. No, support cinema. But no, I mean the other week I had to cover an event, and I went to a screening and the information they gave me was incorrect, so I ended up seeing another movie which I wanted to see, which was fine. But then I hadn't seen the movie, and I'd asked before, can I have an online screener for this movie, or can you send me a disc? Because I like hard format. I'm old, and they were like, oh, there were no screeners. There were no screeners for this. There were no screeners for. They were not doing any online screeners. I was like, oh fuck, okay, I'll rearrange my schedule. I'll go into this movie that I ended up not seeing anyway, and then I do the event, and you know so that I was like, fuck, the event is like tomorrow. I've got to do this. I was like, you know, and they said, oh, we'll send you a screener. And I was like,
sounds about right.
And they were like, oh yeah, well, sorry, we'll send you a screener. I went, hang on now. Didn't you say that there wasn't? It was like, yeah, well, we'd like you to see it on the big screen. I was like, it's not being released on the big screen.
No.
I mean, lovely. But I mean, you know, we could have avoided this. You know, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I think there needs to be a little bit of a change.
I think it's on Netflix now.
It is.
It actually is. Other platforms are
9 to
available.
5,
okay,
baby.
so
9 to
going
5.
back to what I was saying about Steve Carell being like Brick in Vice. Ricky says, I want to see Brick Goes to Washington. Great short film ever. Zeno Hour. Simon, comparing Brick to Rumsfeld is an insult to Brick. I wasn't comparing Brick and Rumsfeld. I was comparing Brick and Rumsfeld. I kind of was. Zeno Hour. What movie this year did you guys love but definitely won't get any awards nominations? We're not going to answer that now. What we're going to do is we'll include that in next week's show. We'll do a review of the year. Film nerd Jamie. What will be the big awards contender to leak and it makes waves in the news circuit? Happens every year. I don't know what that's going to be this year. I honestly don't know. Zeno Hour, send all screeners to me. Nope. Ricky, I'll take a Vice screener. Lol. Need to see it ASAP. Support it in the movie theaters. Scott, can't they send out digital downloads now? Screeners seem dated in a way. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people, you know, we like these hard formats. I like
Yeah,
to. I like.
they
I don't
tried
want
to do this
stream it.
5
I
years
want to
ago.
watch it on my big screen TV.
I have a
and there are a lot of
statement
people
about
in the industry. Remember, this is industry people who still have hard formats, and they
Yeah.
like to watch it on a Blu-ray or a DVD.
I need to talk about this real
Yeah,
quick.
okay.
No.
Okay. So Magnolia this year decided to go green, which I appreciate the fact that they tried to go green. But as a result, their movies have not been getting much love at all.
Right.
And I mean, they had a whole bunch, and I've had an email conversation with the people at Magnolia saying that they sent it all in a package. So every single film that they had, they sent it as a digital download package, which everyone had an individual link. And I said, you should have sent them out individually if you were going to do it that way.
Yep.
I will also say that there's a movie called The Front Runner, which they didn't even bother sending a screener for, a physical screener for it, that they sent a digital download that I totally forgot that I had until Simon asked me if I seen the movie a couple weeks ago. So
how was Paul Blart Mall Cop?
Yeah, right.
The
exactly.
indie years.
No, but they've been trying to do this streaming thing, and to your point, it doesn't work.
It doesn't.
And I'm trying to think what the first movie was that went out streaming for screener purposes, and it just didn't work. Like it had glitches, and
Oh, I get those.
Oh yeah.
I get those. But I mean, on Scott Boswell, this is slightly darker, but it proves my point. Scott Boswell saying, a former girlfriend of mine was in SAG and got screeners, but tragically died this summer. I wonder if... I'm very sorry about that. I wonder if screeners are still being sent to her address.
Probably. I will tell you that
probably.
I moved, and they're still being sent to the old address.
Yeah. I mean,
And I got
this
people
guy that I
calling
was
me.
talking about, he's got 2 kids. I mean, they've just seen Mary Poppins Returns for free.
Yeah.
God bless him.
They're also seeing a load of the other animated nominees this year for free.
Yeah.
He and his wife, he's got a lovely little video library going on.
Yeah, and he's in rent control.
Scott replying to Glamoury, that might push up against time restraints the person has. Some kind of one view and done would be even better. Yeah, I think it should be one view and done. I think that would be absolutely fine if it's a digital download.
Yeah.
Zeno Hour, I have to be honest, critic and journalist complaining about screenings is kind of annoying because we have to wait and pay for a lot of money just to see one movie. Always bothered me. Well, no, I can understand that, but this is our job. This is what we do. And we need to see that. I mean, obviously, if that's the case, then if we don't see them in advance, then you don't get the reviews and you don't get the editorial. So the whole machine runs to a
Absolutely.
halt.
And I sorry, I have to. You know, and this is where your point of view comes into place, where if you have to monitor people,
Yeah.
I agree with you, Zeno Hour. This should be, you have to either review or you have to be doing an interview. And if you're not doing either, you don't fucking go. Because there's far too many people who sit in that freaking room with me every single day of the week, and I never see a freaking ounce of content come out, whether it's an interview or a review.
And as you know, and he's I get what it is. It's a big wow.
Yeah.
And Zeno, I can honestly tell you, I do subscribe to the AMC to their A-list program.
Yeah.
Because it's, for me, it's been a great way to go to movies. That I don't get to go to screenings.
Yeah.
I do try to go on Thursday nights as much as possible if I haven't seen a movie via screening. And like you too, I mean, I go with a regular audience as well. I find that to be very fun.
Yeah, no, so do
and
I.
unless I'm with present
and
company.
some movies I choose to see that way.
Right.
Exactly. Unless I'm with present company.
Yeah.
Going to the movies with you guys has proven to be a lot of fun. But yes, I totally get what you're saying.
But the thing is that, I mean, I understand what Zeno is saying,
Yeah,
and
me
everybody
too.
wants to be a little bit close to the sun.
Right.
Sure.
But if we don't, I mean, the chat and after the show is full of, have you seen this? What did you think
Yes,
about it?
I know.
The reason that shows like this exist, and the reason that TV that I make, and articles that I write, and articles that you write, and stuff that you talk about, exists because we see these things in advance. If we don't, all this goes away. All of it goes away.
Yeah.
Right.
So I absolutely understand that. So I want to see this movie. I want to see this movie. I understand that. And there are ways for the public to get to see things in advance for free.
There are.
But this is what we do for a living. And if we don't see them, all this shit disappears.
Right.
Right.
So we can't have it both ways.
And I think what's been great about this show is that in one way, shape, or form, either all three of us has seen the movie, one of us has seen the movie,
Yep.
and it can be interchangeable every week, but it would be fantastic if the three of us together, along with the group, could see the movie, because we do always talk about it on Friday, whatever movies are released today.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very difficult to do. And I do get being on the other side, because as a moviegoer, I get it. You hear people, oh, they're not getting free this or this. That works in any industry, let me tell you. But we're sitting, I consider myself...
I hate it when
lucky.
bus drivers get to fucking ride on a bus and they don't pay.
For free? I hate
Dicks.
I hate that too. And they get free passes to ride on the T.
Yeah,
and
people who work
whatever.
at Disney get free passes for Disney, and I've got no. I mean, I understand the argument, but that's kind of that,
Right. And
you know.
for me, it's a privilege to be invited at the table for Here an Anatomy of a Movie, and I try to do my best at each show, and we all do. But it's about seeing the movies.
This is the thing. I don't have. There's a double-edged sword, right? There's what I think what Zeno Hour is talking about is people seeing stuff and they're not actually doing anything. And there's a difference between.
But those are
sending
not
a
critics. Those are not critics and journalists. Those are hobbyists.
But there are some. where they just sent out a tweet and that counts as like their coverage for a film.
Yeah.
And I mean that's really troublesome and really worrisome, especially when every time I go to something, I'm not only hit with, hey, you want to do an interview? Hey, by the way, can you review? Oh, by the way, Ashley went with you. Can she review too? Like it's just it's like this never ending like keep doing more. And then there's other people who you're like, it's that person or that person or that person who hasn't done a single thing yet.
Yeah. I mean, Zayas makes a comment, and we'll discuss this, and I want to move on because we've got a couple of things we need to cover. And we've talked. No, it's fine. We've kind of elongated the conversation, but valid points. Zayas B. Lou saying, if it's a small up-and-coming company, that is one thing. They need a way to review films too.
Yes.
Can't only have the same big guns. Now, the new or old screeners abusing this are the ones I agree with on what you're saying, Simon. Now, when it comes to small up-and-coming companies, there is a massive proliferation right now of people that are continuing to... The last thing we need is more movie blogs.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be really honest with you. Anyone can just set up a website. That's just opinion. It's just opinion. And the thing is, these people do it for free. They do it for hobbies. Now, absolutely, you know, if you have a skill for this, your skill should be encouraged. But that should be encouraged in a paid job. The way to do... Otherwise, it's just a hobby. I was talking to someone the other day who was like, I've been in the industry for 8 years and I work for no money, but I've been doing it for 8 years in the business. I was like, if you're doing it for 8 years and you're not getting paid, you're not in the business. That's a hobby. You're no different to someone who is going to see a movie on a Friday when it comes out and then writing it up online. No different. You know, it's a hobby. It's something you like to do and you might be good at, but that is not a job. And I think there's a difference. And the thing is that there's a lot of this proliferation of people who are doing it for shits and giggles and because they like to play at being part of the industry. If they're that good, the industry should be paying these people. We should be bringing that talent in. Problem is, people aren't paying, or people are paying shit money.
Right.
And that's why we need a clean out. You can't... I mean, everybody can't open a restaurant. I can cook. It doesn't mean I should open a restaurant. I can cook very well. I wouldn't run a restaurant. That's not my ballpark.
Right.
I love movies. I've been in the industry for 25 years. I've worked my way... This is... when I started in the industry in radio, I didn't go, I want to be in radio. I'll start my own radio station. This is not how it works. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's not really how the industry works.
Yeah.
And there's some great talent out there, and the industry needs to reward that with paying them and making them professionals. Otherwise, we have the industry becomes a proliferation of unprofessionals.
Right.
You're a professional if you get paid to do it. Otherwise, it's a hobby. And I think the industry needs to differentiate. And I think there's a little bit of a skew going on right now, and especially around awards season, this needs to be looked at. I mean, I know that I'm going to be talking about a lot of these movies on national British TV, national British radio, covering it for international news agencies, major American entertainment shows. And some of the movies I can't comment on because I haven't seen. And yet there's somebody who's gone on WordPress who has seen them all. And to me, that's a little bit of a... No.
See you later.
But to be honest with you, you're on Wix, not WordPress. But no, I mean, do you kind of see where I'm...
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just think it needs, especially around awards season, I think we need a little bit... And also, if you don't want to lose money, don't send screeners out to people who, could have just spent $50.
Right.
Just saying. But anyway, there was something else that happened this week. Let's talk about Doctor Strange 2. Wow. Sorry, I went a bit dark there for a minute. Just a little bit. I just needed to... It's been a week.
It's okay.
It's
It's
been a
okay.
week.
He just got shorter because he got off his soapbox. No.
It's true. I'm also in the chair that's
I
sinking
don't
this
blame
week.
him. I
So.
understand
You're
what
in
he's
the
saying.
It's just
chair?
it's just infuriating.
No,
It just
I
is.
get
And
it.
It is
I
too, a
understand
little
the
bit.
whole thing about, don't whine because you're close, you get to see the
No,
movies. It's my fucking job. And without it, it just goes away.
Yeah.
And I want to do a good job. I take great pride in what I do for a living. That's why I've been doing it for so long, and I do it for some of the biggest entertainment brands in the world. We shouldn't have to,
I understand.
I understand.
fucking give hand jobs by a dust cart just so I can see fucking.
Is that what I have to do?
Anyway.
Oh.
So, anyway, you know where to find me. Phil.
So,
You know,
moving on to Doctor
I'm just kidding. It shouldn't be jumping through hoops of fire.
I think I'm going back to hobby.
Okay, let's talk about Doctor Strange 2, Conjuring Up director Scott Derrickson for the sequel.
Of course.
Let's talk about that.
Sure.
I'm very, very happy about this. Doctor Strange, the minute the credits rolled on that movie, and I tweeted about this week, I wanted a sequel for this. He's one of my favorite things in Avengers Infinity War. And I just think that it is really time for this, and I want Scott to be the man at the helm. Delighted by this news. Your guys' thoughts on this?
I loved it too. I mean, the Doctor Strange is I think it's one of my 5 favorite Marvel movies. I just really enjoyed it.
It's in my top 5.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful, wonderful film, visually stunning, but also it's creative and unique, and I love Benedict Cumberbatch. So it's great that they're rewarding Scott by bringing him back on board, because that shows that they really believe in him, and they believe in that story and what his vision of the story is.
And it's a great continuity to do it as well.
Yeah.
And Marvel is in this. They're in this almost like in this gray zone now, where they're going to be losing some characters. Right? We know that Chris Evans isn't going to be coming back, so we need to fill in the slot with these other folks like the Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange and things like that. So. And now Black Panther is another one of these, the new characters that are coming in that are picking up the mantle. And Doctor Strange, I agree. I thought some of his dialogue and Benedict Cumberbatch's performance in Infinity was fantastic.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to get a sequel. I mean, that's why his death meant. We know he's getting a sequel. The sequel's coming out next year.
Yep.
But I'm really looking forward to Doctor Strange because it was so much fun, and it was so visually exciting, and it did something that's really hard to do when you're talking about time paradox.
Yeah.
But it did it in a really fresh, fun, entertaining way. Can't wait.
One thing I was quite surprised, and you mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy, although I'm very, very happy about Scott coming back for the second Doctor Strange movie, I'm very surprised that he hasn't been pulled in to helm Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Because of what he did with Doctor Strange that was tonally slightly different, but still a lot in sort of in common with Guardians, I would have thought he would have been a logical choice to helm that, to take what he did with Doctor Strange and put some of that into Guardian and kind of pick up on what James Gunn has left behind.
Well, they could also go with the person who just did, I forget his name, Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah. Absolutely. Peyton Reed would be another really good choice.
Another great choice to fill that in as well for Guardians. So, and I think they have to do that one too sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Yes.
But of course, we can't do anything until Captain Marvel comes out and the Endgame, Infinity, Avengers Endgame comes out.
Yeah.
Then I think we're gonna start seeing more sequel announcements coming.
Yeah.
From these Volume 3. Black Panther is going to be a sequel. So yeah. I mean, new characters and Captain Marvel.
100%. Disney. Carrying on from this, box office topped $7 billion for 2018, the studio's second best year ever. Now, for me, it's a really interesting one for Disney because there have been a number of movies that people have really loved this year or really hated that I've had a different opinion on, which is great. It's what it's all about. And I don't think necessarily it's been a strong year for Disney in consistent quality.
No.
I think it's been a very strong year for Disney, and obviously Mary Poppins Returns comes out next week, for IPs and recognizable IPs. Because for me, Avengers Infinity War, as much as there was a lot about it that I really liked, there was a lot about it that just didn't work for me at all. I loved Christopher Robin. A lot of people didn't like Christopher Robin. Mary Poppins Returns, a lot of people are giving that 5 stars. I'm very much in the 2, maybe 2.5 stars camp.
I was a big fan of Solo.
Solo, another great example. I mean, Last Jedi, end of last year, but into this year. And Solo, I really had a lot of time with, and that didn't get the love that I think it actually deserved.
You and me both.
So I think, but that hasn't stopped them having this massive box office here. Scott, your thoughts on this?
I mean, it just goes to show you that Disney has a formula. They know what they're doing, and they're smart enough. This is what I think how they figure it out. they take some projects that they know are not going to do as well, and they perfectly place them throughout the year. So you had Nutcracker 2 or 3 weeks before
Wrinkle in
That
Time.
was not a...
Yeah, right. But right before Wreck-It Ralph. So, like, there wasn't enough...
And Incredibles 2 this year as well.
Yeah, there was no focus on how bad Nutcracker was
but
that
you know what?
much.
Because another strong one was coming up right behind.
Same with Black Panther and Wrinkle in Time, which was awesome.
Wrinkle in Time was this year as well,
my
wasn't
God.
it?
Oof.
Forgot about
but
that.
I can explain
Everyone
that.
else has too. Don't worry about
But
it.
I
showbiz.
can kind of explain that from a distribution standpoint. It's a hammer. Black Panther, Wreck-It Ralph 2, those are the hammers. And that basically meaning, well, you're going to play Wrinkle in Time or you're going to play Nutcracker. We know it's not a good movie. You've seen it. It's not a good movie. But if you want Wreck-It Ralph in ABC theaters, you're going to open that and you're going to keep it open until Wreck-It Ralph opens. So they have that flow. That's part of that game that goes on with exhibition. And you're right, they know that they don't have like the goods at some movies. And unfortunately, you know, with the end of Fox going over, it's going to put Disney in a category all in its own.
Yeah,
and we
it's
should
gonna
just
be
say
really
this
bad.
is Disney,
Yeah.
and then the number one studio is Universal. And then Disney's here. So
it's not fair.
Okay, we need to start wrapping up because we kind of went long enough for a segment, but we need to touch on one thing we mentioned at the top of the show, and then we'll go very briefly through the week's big releases. 2019 Oscars might not have a host at all. I'm actually okay with that this
Me
year.
too.
I'm actually
Me
okay
too.
with that. It's something different. And I think what that show needs is, like I was talking about the industry earlier, give it a mix-up. Give it a mix-up. I mean, the whole thing with Kevin Hart, you know, it's going to be difficult to follow. A lot of people just simply don't want to do it.
Oh, no, well, that's...
I say just have
here's
categories.
the thing. No one wants to step up for that now because what we talked about last week. Heaven forbid someone goes back and looks at a tweet history or a Facebook history and they find something. You know, like I said, there's some dirt if you dig deep enough.
It's lose-lose.
It's a lose-lose
I
scenario.
am not on board with the no host.
You're not?
No.
Okay, very quickly, why? And then we'll go to the movies.
Because what are you going to do? I mean, if you're trying to get ratings, no host is the perfect way to go. Hey, we got the Oscars. We're just giving
But you know what?
awards
The
away.
Oscars don't get ratings. And they're not about to bring in a new massive audience.
But that's always their goal. And you don't want to go in there. We did the James Franco Anne Hathaway experiment, and that didn't quite work out so well.
No.
Just pay fucking Jimmy Kimmel to do it for whatever.
No.
You need somebody. Somebody to keep that
do
flow.
montages, get people to introduce the awards, get people on and get them off.
Yeah, get them
Do
in
that.
quicker.
Yeah.
Do that.
Make it quicker show, right?
More show pieces. Let's make it a cabaret show, effectively.
Make it flashy.
Make it flashy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Say you need a host to keep that flow.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. Okay, let's look at the movies this week. A couple of big
wrong,
ones
but
coming
that's
out. Well, I mean, I'm happy to be wrong. Spider-Man.
say it this
We
time.
reviewed this a couple of weeks ago. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. 3.5 million in previews last night, looking at a weekend of 40 million, which is very, very good.
Yes.
Also, one of the best movies of the year, hands down. Surprised by that box office? Not
No,
surprised?
not at all.
No, that took more on Thursday than I thought it would. I think 40 is being quite conservative. I see 45 this weekend.
For sure.
Yeah,
It's a
very
superhero
easily.
movie. It doesn't matter
And
if
there
it's animated.
hasn't been anything new at theaters
For like weeks.
For
Yeah.
at least 3 weeks.
And then there's a lot coming this weekend. Talking of which, the Mule you guys saw on Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I'm hearing
not...
Clint's best in years, but that's not really saying a lot.
Okay,
Jersey
yeah,
Boys.
Yeah.
Jersey Boy, 1517 was one of my worst films of the year.
Hey,
Oh, my God, yeah.
It's his only movie that I can actually sort of kind of call unwatchable. But this movie, it's a little bit more back to form. It's very economical, very efficient. His character, I felt, was likable in a way only because of the character's age, and I thought that he still has that glint in his eye, and he can still pull it off. The movie has its flaws. I felt that the end was is still like there are some character
It's a little
choices
wonky.
or plot points that sort of kind of go, really, like, what? Why did that happen? They don't explain, but the movie's under 2 hours. It's engaging. It's entertaining. I thought it was a decent movie.
A lot of movies shouldn't be over 2 hours. Very little excuse.
No,
Very quickly
right.
stop.
I thought it was completely fine.
Okay.
It's a movie that if you're a fan of Clint Eastwood, I say go for it. If you're not, it's not going to make you a new fan.
No.
The Mule looking at 10 to 15 million this weekend. I'm thinking it's probably more on the 10 end, realistically.
Middle America is going to love it.
Yes.
Great. Mortal Engines, 11 million. Very important audience, but I'm glad there's something there for them. Mortal Engines, 11 million.
No.
Dead on arrival.
This movie sucks. This movie sucks.
Did that make it to the poster?
Yeah, yeah.
And also, Once Upon a Deadpool is out for a few days. Now, you might not think we need Once Upon a Deadpool. It's a PG-13 version of Deadpool 2. I know you enjoyed it. Also, a lot of that money is going to charity.
Yes.
So it's in a good cause. It's taken a little bit of shit online this week for being a cash grab. It's for charity. I'm a big supporter of charity.
Me too.
So especially at this time of year, I think it's really important. So it could be fun.
And especially for people on this panel who have had people who have what this movie's giving funding for. I think we really do support it.
And also, I just want to say I was in Universal Studios in Hollywood at the weekend, and I was standing in the gift shop at Harry Potter. I took some friends on Sunday, and someone came up to me and went, "Simon Thompson." They watch Meet the Movie Press. I believe Tyler was your name. Thank you so much. I was very surprised. My friends were also impressed.
That's awesome.
So you made me very happy. And you made me cool. So that's not bad. But yeah, I'll take it. Tyler's actually very cool. Very, very cool individual. I was very impressed that someone like that would care. Likes the show, appreciates what we do. And that's what it's all about. We appreciate your help. We appreciate your support. We do this because we love doing it. We do this for you. We love it when you support us. We love it when you spread the word. So please do that. Tweet, share it on social media. We're available on iTunes most of the time, Spotify, and also YouTube. Thank you so much for your support throughout 2018. Next week, we're going to be doing a wrap-up of 2018, our top 10 movies, so stay tuned for that. We'll also be looking at box office over the holidays and obviously touching on some other big news of the week. Very quickly,
and I have
Demetri.
to say, very quickly, kudos to you. You did this amazing, great, fun trivia, movie trivia.
We launched You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat movie quiz in LA. Yeah.
I'm not saying this because our team won.
You did win.
Amity's Finest. No, I'm saying this because, number one, great job co-hosting. Your hosts were fantastic.
Thank you.
I think it was a trivia thing that was unique, fun, and suspenseful. I was sweating bullets. People were saying
it was pretty
you
warm
need
in
to
there.
get more.
was
You need
pretty
to have
warm in
alcohol. I said no. I need to concentrate.
Well, but
and it was a great
the good news is
Good
that
job.
it's been very successful in London for 13 years. We are bringing it to LA. That was a test run. We felt we had to bring in more chairs and tables. The support was great. It is coming back in February. I'll be giving more details on the show in the new year. We already have a second venue in LA, and we're looking at a third, which is amazing considering we did one as a tester and it packed the place out. So thank you guys for coming along. And I'll be telling you more about it in the new year, but we'd appreciate your support with that as well. Seriously, I'm not no bullshit. It's really good time. People were impressed, and it's very difficult to impress anyone in LA. So seriously, it's actually quite difficult. So thank you so much. Before we go, Demetri, who are you? Where can we find you?
At DMovies 1701. You find me here at Meet the Movie Press, and also on Popcorn Talk Network's Anatomy of a Movie.
Scott Menzel, you can go over to this same network. Actually, you don't have to go anywhere. At 11 o'clock a.m., we're going to be doing LAOFCS, and we're going to be talking about award season a little bit more, and we're going to be revealing our movie pick of the week.
Thank you so much for watching the show. Next week is the last one of 2018. We'll be giving our 10 favorite movies of the year and more. Jack Jennis just appeared in the chat. Sorry, I like Jersey Boys. Jack, we're sorry too.
Yeah.
Have a great week, everybody. Do your holiday shopping. Don't forget to post those holiday cards. Thanks, guys.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.